Georgia wants to be a part of Europe, but Europe is a long way away. Russia is near and its gravitational pull is stronger. There is no holiday from history or geography in Georgia. Given that Europe and the EU is in a bit of a mess at the moment, what are the potential benefits of wanting to join anyway? Join me, Darasz, for How We Got Here.
In recent years, Georgia's political landscape has taken a stark turn as the country drifts away from its European Union aspirations and leans back into Russia's orbit. Once hailed as a beacon of democracy and a potential EU candidate, Georgia has seen its political direction shift dramatically under the influence of the incumbent government. The Georgian Dream Party, led by billionaire Bidzina Ivanishvili, has increasingly distanced itself from the West, focusing on maintaining a delicate relationship with Russia. Parliamentary elections are riddled with irregularities, and putting Georgia's long-time dream of joining the EU on hold until 2028 has sparked not only controversy among Georgians, but also rage and a determination to make their voices heard, shown through constant protest.
Big problem starts from the 28th of November when our government said that they don't want to be in the part of the European Union. And in Georgia, we are 80, 85, maybe 90%. Everybody wants to be part of Europe, and we are doing everything for that. We were preparing for 30 years.
The Georgian Dream's response to the outbreak of anti-government demonstrations was letting police loose on the crowds.
Today I did an estimation, they arrest approximately 50 people a day on average during these 8 or 9 days. Out of these 50 people, they basically torture about 40.
The recent political move by the Georgian Dream Party, terminating the mandates of 49 opposition MPs, marks a clear signal of the party's tightening grip on power. By sidelining opposition figures, the government has not only diminished political pluralism, but also sent a message that their loyalty lies more with Moscow than Brussels. As Georgia's relationship with the EU becomes increasingly strained, its growing ties with Russia have left many questioning whether the country will ever fully realize its European dreams.
My guest today is Anna Zhvania. She is a researcher at the Georgian Institute for Strategic Studies. Welcome once more to the programme.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Could you tell us the context of the recent, the physical confrontation of the former president and a small group of of protesters by the Georgian Dream at the airport? Eggs were thrown. Could you tell us what the President Zurabashvili's personal style is and how this impacted on the confrontation she had recently in her return from the security conference?
I think it's a shameful point of our history and never happened before. President is the last legitimate president of Georgia who has been elected, and that way the society perceives her. It's very important to understand the personal dimension of her presence and the way she speaks with people. She never hesitates to go to public. She attends usual cafes. She walks out dogs. She never has a distance with the people, and people are approaching her. And this is kind of the democratic tradition which we had up to now. Not always, but that is a standard, that you are elected by the people, you should be approachable by the people, and never should explain or share concerns, and she was maintaining this. You can see her literally in some of the places of Tbilisi, walking out some of her guests, and personal assault to a woman of her age for advocating for the national interest itself, definitely not manifestation of the people's will. People are protesting in the streets, and I said that's the society's will. But this is something very typical for Georgian Dream, and not only for the Georgian, I would say for the Moscow style, to use the small groups of the people who don't respect any rules and who go to the physical and personal assault easily, crossing all the possible lines.
So what you're saying is that it was the protesters, in her case, were from the Georgian Dream. You're saying that this is a warning, an orchestrated warning that happens, that is done.
Absolutely. They try to make her as much as uncomfortable as possible. They want to make her problematic to represent people and to be close to people. I have no doubt. I wouldn't say that they are protesters. They are just a group of the people who've been put in the airport to make this visible protest as much degrading for the president as possible. Because the feeling of shame, I think, is shared by a lot of people, even among the Georgian Dream supporters, because, I mean, you can't do this type of the thing, you know. There are a lot of ways you can express your protest.
Norms and conventions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially for women, especially for the women who has been running her office and communicating with the people with that dignity, with that type of the wording, with that type of the politeness she presents. That's very important. She is perceived as being very European and quite of a style, and they were undermining that particular thing, but they also were putting, it's very important that showing that she is not protected in her own country. She can't exit, just normal exit of the airport without being physically assaulted, you know, because today it's just X, which is hugely unpleasant, but tomorrow it can be something more serious.
Yes, of course. What is the, last time we talked about the centers of protest in the urban centers of Georgia and the influence that Russia has in terms of its machinations in the protest, in the electoral process of Georgia. What's the current state of the situation? The protests have been going on all winter in the main urban centres. Is the society so polarized and divided that that's just going to be the future for Georgia, a divided future? Mm-hmm. How do you see it?
Divided and have a division in society. It means ideological division. It means that supporting of the different solutions for Georgia's future. But also I would say that it's a front line, because we're not facing, it's not solely the issue of Georgian society. It's not only contradiction or different approaches to or different solutions. We are fighting Russia there. It's very clear we're fighting for our independence, not only for the democracy. People there, they want to maintain their trust. It's not a kind of healthy discussion between the political parties. It's different political parties of different solutions and opinions together with the people trying to maintain independence. Because on the other side is the power which is totally linked to Moscow. And it's not a conspiracy theories, because we see a lot of replications and a lot of, political positions, international positioning, decisions they are making. So what's happening for these 3 months? For 3 months, every day people are protesting. People are still working. They are still having their duties, in family duties, for example, right? They are ill. They have to care for their elderly, but they still go every day. And the government has modified its approach. It used brutal force in the beginning. Awful torture, really things which are been recorded by like never happening in Georgia before. And I'm not exaggerating, you know, we enjoyed certain level of the civilized discussion before. They amended the laws, and right now, like literally everyone receives the fines, which stands for approximately 5,000 lari, which makes approximately 1,600 euros, which is almost 3 times as average salary in Georgia. I mean, it's a big amount, and everybody receives it. Like on the false condition, there are approximately 400 people have been arrested. The courts are overflowed, and people are in jails sometimes for nothing. It's absolutely, if you see, it's undermining the whole notion of justice of the court. So. They are the government trying to approach individually and to crack each person in its family environment and to put a pressure, absolutely in the Moscow style, you know, putting pressure on the relatives and everyone which can be vulnerable from that point of view. But yeah.
How do you see in the intervening time before between our previous conversation. It seems that the sea changed, the polarities of the world have changed. We're now back to realpolitik, spheres of interest, quite brutal negotiations. We see that in Ukraine, for example. That's Georgia's problem. Is there a realization that we have Russia to the north and Europe is losing its influence? The United States is not as interested as it could have been. Is that the swinging of the mood that's being felt in, or is Georgian society still hankering after this idea of joining Europe, joining the EU?
Okay, there are two levels. One is international external level, and you're absolutely right in being pessimistic. However, I would try to be optimistic. We are not. We are in the fight. The fight is not over yet. Of course, defeat of Russia, to whatever degree, is beneficial for Georgia. Victory of Ukraine would be tremendously important for Georgia, because that would empower us and become Georgia more visible also, because we are in the context of this. A lot of things have been tested in Georgia before they happened in Ukraine or in other places. However, there is also an internal dimension and how society feels it. The society is, of course, looking at the international of European Union, on the US, what they are doing right now. We are not in the center of their interest, that's for sure. But society thinks that it has
rare earth metals that it could interest.
Sorry?
Does Georgia have any rare earth metals that it could interest?
No, we have wine and tourism for sure, and 3,000 and 6,000 people living there. But I think we are still important, we still matter. But I think at this stage, society is responsible, and that's the feeling, because I was on the streets, I spoke with the people, I was speaking with a lot of experts who are trying to analyze what's happening there. They say that, yes, it's one thing what Europe and the US will do, but we have to fight our fight. We are standing for ourselves. It's our responsibility in front of our children. This ethical approach, this the feeling, the emotions which are there, are very important, because they say that we are dependent, of course. It's important forces which are outside, but we have to fight our war ourselves. We have to be consistent. We should not surrender. We have to work out the system which will enable us, because it's not imposed democracy. It's not imposed on us something. No, it was our choice. And if it's our choice, we will stand in the streets. We don't know. They are tired. There is, of course, pessimism. Of course, a lot of people are starting with for the Twitter, for the social media, to look what are the news internationally, because all of them affect. But they think, and the way they behave, that whatever happens outside, we have to do. It's our Georgian dream. We have to work with those people. And speaking about the support of the ruling party, different numbers there, but it's not more than 1/3. So speaking about the polarized society, this 1/3 is very close to the number of the people employed in the public sector, in the governmental sector, those who receive the financial benefits.
Power base.
Yeah, it's power-based. It's based on the fear. A lot of fear-related elements work in our society, but still it's not democratically elected in terms that the support right now, it's more like, I don't know to what extent it is, but when there's a very nice mafia group in your neighborhood, you may not be robbed, maybe some of the criminality even go down, they solve they will maybe help you with some of the issues, but that's mafia.
Yes.
And that's the feeling right now we have in Georgia. So I would not say that there is a polarization in Georgian society, coming back to what you said, that's for sure. But it's more like pragmatical, I would say. People want to survive in different modes, but it's not ethical, because if you look at what are the best visions, 85% wish to be inside the EU.
Well, a final question to you on that point. When these 85% of this Georgian society looks at the mess that Europe is in, it's weak, it's totally vacillating all the time. It can't come to a conclusion. We've been talking about what we should do about our own arms base, for example, industries, and we've not done anything about it. What picture does that give to Georgian society? Is it? Quick answer, if I can press you.
It gives certain arguments to those who are against EU because they are manipulating with this information. But holistically, Europe is still strong. The democratic institutions, they exist. Check and balances are in places. Courts exist. Free media exist. And there is a very dynamic political activity going on. So we want to have this type of the uninfluenced political free will in Georgia.
And Zhvania, thank you very much for coming onto the program. Great to have you.
Thank you very much for bringing me here. Thank you.
That's all we've got time for today. Join us next time, Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, 2:15 CET. So see you then.